He will raise us up, unquote. This is supposed to be a prediction that Jesus would rise in 3 days. But in their desperate need for Old Testament comments of support, apologists conveniently overlook these facts. A, use of the word us shows that more than one person is to be raised or revived. It could not be referring to Jesus alone. B, in Matthew 27:63 and Mark 8:31, Jesus said he would rise after 3 days, not in or on the third day. C, and most importantly, Hosea 6:2 says, quote, he will raise or revive us, unquote. It doesn't say he will be raised. He, whoever that is going to do the raising in the third day. He's going to be the raiser. He's not going to be raised. 19th. With the possible exception of Isaiah 7 and Isaiah 53, Micah 5:2 ranks at the top of at the apex of the Messianic pyramid. It states, quote, I should say it's one of the 2 or 3 most often cited. It states, quote, but thou Bethlehem Ephratah, though thou be little among the thousands of Judah, yet out of thee shall he come forth unto me that is to be ruler in Israel, whose goings forth have been from everlasting, unquote. The reference to Bethlehem causes biblicists to jump for joy. Well, there they have it. There you have it, they will say. The Messiah was to be born in Bethlehem, and Jesus was born in Bethlehem. What more could you want? But this is not a prophecy of Jesus being born in Bethlehem, for several reasons. A, according to 1 Chronicles 4:4, Bethlehem is the name of a man, and he's the son of Ephratah. Thus, Bethlehem could be either a man or a town. And since it says Bethlehem Ephratah rather than Bethlehem alone, it is more than likely that it is the man rather than the town that's being referred to. In addition, it says, out of thee, not out of it, shall he come forth. Again implying that a man rather than a town was intended. B, thousands of children have been born in Bethlehem, but that doesn't give each of them the right to claim to be the Messiah. C, Jesus was by no means a ruler in Israel. On the contrary, the people ruled over him, as is shown by his execution. D, and most important of all, the 6th verse of Micah 5, that's Micah 5:6, is talking about the same person and says, quote, thus shall he deliver us from the Assyrian when he cometh into our land, unquote. When did Jesus ever save anyone from the Assyrians? And when did he ever become a military ruler? The Assyrian Empire ceased to exist 600 years before Jesus was even born. It was the Romans and not the Assyrians who conquered and occupied the land of Judah when Jesus lived. And Jesus certainly didn't drive out the Romans. On the contrary, they signed the warrant for his execution. Realistically speaking, if anything, they drove him out. 20th. Haggai 2:6-7 says, thus saith the Lord of hosts, yet once, it is a little while, and I will shake the heavens and the earth and the sea and the dry land. And I will shake all nations, and the desire of all nations shall come, unquote. The problems with this are A, Jesus was never the desire of all nations. B, if Jesus is the desire of all nations, as Christians claim, then the universal earthquake that was to precede his coming appears to have passed unnoticed. C, it says a little while. Yet the desire that was to appear, who is allegedly Jesus, came on the scene over 500 years after the prophecy. That hardly sounds like a little while. And D, the Revised Standard Version says, quote, treasures of all nations, not desire of all nations shall come. Treasures is plural and couldn't be referring to a single individual. 21st. Zechariah 6:12 says, quote, thus speaks the Lord of hosts, saying, behold the man whose name is the branch, and they have the branch in big black type letters, and he shall grow up out of his place, and he shall build the temple of the Lord, unquote. This doesn't apply to Jesus because A, Jesus never built the temple of the Lord. B, Jesus was never called the branch. And C, the very next verse, Zechariah 6:13 says, quote, he shall bear the glory and shall sit and rule upon his throne, and he shall be a priest upon his throne, unquote. Jesus never had much glory. He never sat or ruled upon a throne, and he was never a priest. 22nd. Zechariah 9:9 is supposedly a prediction of the entry of Jesus into Jerusalem and says, quote, Thy king cometh unto thee, he is just, and having salvation, lowly, and riding upon an ass and upon a colt, the foal of an ass, unquote.